In this video, I am going to elaborate how the relevance coding works in systematic literature review according to the experience of a year project. So we went through, in fact, 5 steps to judge what literature is relevant, what literature is irrelevant. The first tab, as you can see here, is JC pre versus SC pre. That means junior coder pre-coding, senior coder pre-coding. As reflected in the table, you can see the column of JC here, the column of SC here, representing the coding of the junior coder and the coding of a senior coder. For these two sets of coding to be available, you have to create another data set that organize literature for the coders to judge. They include the column of the coder, where the coder is going to place the coding number, the index number, the data source, the source of database, the year of publication, authors, title of the literature, abstract of the literature, keywords of the literature, source of the literature, type of publication, and URL. For each record, the coder is gonna judge this is 0, meaning to exclude, 1 to include, or 2 as undecided. We will try to avoid using 2 as much as possible. So when you place number in this column, it will be copied and pasted to the column here, depending on your role as junior coder or senior coder. The whole table here automatically calculates the frequency of 0, 1, or 2 for each coder. In this example, there are in total 203 citations coded. And for Jiaying as junior coder, she placed 125 0, 68 1, and 10 as 2. For senior coder Jingjing, she placed 107 citations as 0, 80 as 1, 16 as undecided. Between this junior coder and senior coder, the frequency or the rate of agreement is 157 out of 203. They agree with each other, and that accounts for 77.3%. When calculating Cohen's kappa value using SPSS, the agreement level is the kappa coefficient is 0.581, representing moderate agreement. After all this work has been done, we progress to the second step, which is keep the junior coder's coding fixed. The senior coder needs to decide, based on this person's coding, what kind of change he's going to make. That is called junior coder pre-coding versus senior coder post. After the senior coder making adjustment to his or her pre-coding, that formed senior coder post-coding, which is listed here in this column. Same as the first tab, this tab also automatically calculate the agreement level, and the kappa coefficient has increased from 0.581 to 0.794, representing substantial agreement. After the senior coder has finished the adjustment, he or she should send back to the junior coder, who's going to work on the tab 3. In this example, the senior coder's coding will be fixed, and junior coder has to decide, based on the result of senior coder's coding, what kind of changes she or he will make. When working with this tab, the junior coder can click the difference column and check 0. 0 meaning there's no difference between two coders. 1 meaning two coders disagree with each other. So the junior coder can select 1 to see what kind of difference now are existing between the two coders. As you can see, after the filtering, the junior coder found 7 records that are different. So based on the result of disagreement here, junior coder can decide to change the coding or not. After the junior coder's coding has been finished, that formed these columns as junior coder post coding, and senior coder post coding. We can see from the record that there are still 7 records in conflict. They're going to be sent to arbitrator of the group. Instead of using 0, 1, and 2, arbitrator needs to use 0 and 1 only to exclude or to include, making final decision of this group's coding. As you can see now, the arbitrator, Professor Lyons, actually exclude only 1 citation out of 7, and that finalized the whole set data's coding. We finally move to the final tab of this spreadsheet, realizing that after finalizing the coding by including arbitrator's decision, the 7 conflicting citations have been agreed, and that brings the whole coding to 100% level of agreement, translated into kappa coefficient as 1, which means perfect agreement. This practice helped the group to reach agreement in what literature to include in the next step work for analyzing the data. From tab 1, which is junior coder pre-coding versus senior coder pre-coding, to tab 5, first bulk 203 coding final. The human resource arrangement is when both junior coder and senior coder work on the same tab in first tab, they independently coded 203 citations without communicating with each other. But of course, before this independent work started, they try-code first 20 to 50 citations in order to reach a higher agreement regarding their understanding of inclusion and exclusion criteria of the project. After the try-coding, they started to independently coding the 203 citations. When this independent coding finished, the senior coder will compare his or her coding with the junior coder's coding result. And that's on the working tab of second tab here. After the senior coder finished comparing and adjusting the coding of his or her own, the senior coder passes the coding to the junior coder. The junior coder will work in the third tab of the spreadsheet as what the senior coder has done. Junior coder will also adjust his or her own coding based on the result. When the coding progresses to the third step in the third tab here, if there's still conflicting citation coding result, that will be passed to arbitrator in the fourth tab here. After the arbitrator makes the final decision of the conflicting citation, every result will be combined. The ideal result is there is 100% agreement. Because the purpose of this coding is to reach agreement on what citations to include for further analysis.